I wasn't meant to hear it. I was at my desk, eyes glazed over, pretending to focus on the spreadsheets glowing on my laptop. Then my phone buzzed. My father's name lit up the screen. Dad. A name that used to mean safety. Lately, it just felt like a weight I carried. I picked up. "Hey, Dad?" No reply. At first, I figured the signal had dropped, but then came the soft scrape of a chair, a deep sigh, and then his voice. "She's a failure. She'll never amount to anything." The words hit like a slap. I froze, phone still at my ear. Then my mother's voice followed, softer but still sharp. "Greg, she's doing all right. She pays the mortgage, doesn't she?" He scoffed. "That's the bare minimum after everything we've done for her." Proud? Are you kidding? She was a mistake from the start, a disappointment through and through, and now she thinks she's successful? She's a joke, just a joke. Every syllable felt like a fresh wound. My throat tightened, fingers clenching around the phone. I wanted to yell, to hang up, to run. But I just sat there. Paralyzed. "Honestly," he went on, "we're doing her a favor by letting her stay in this family. I don't know why she keeps trying so hard. She'll never belong." That's when it hit me. He didn't mean to call. He forgot to hang up. Then the line went dead. The silence in my apartment roared louder than any scream. My heart thudded so hard it echoed in my chest. I sat there, staring into space. They didn't know. For 6 years, I'd quietly paid their mortgage. They thought the bank still held their loan. They didn't know the bank sold it to me, to JSC Holdings, the investment firm I'd built from the ground up. I'd saved their house from foreclosure. I made sure every check they sent went straight to my company. They had no idea they'd been living under my support all this time. And in that moment, I realized, they never would have cared anyway. I'd spent my entire life chasing my father's approval, climbing higher, earning more, working harder. I surpassed everything he ever achieved. And still, it was never enough. Until now. I inhaled slowly, my hand suddenly steady. I turned back to my laptop and opened the folder. Mortgage contracts, payment records, ownership details. He thought I was a failure. He was about to find out who really held the power. And in 1 week, he'd learn the truth. That night, sleep didn't come. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my father's voice replaying like a broken record. She was a mistake. Not just a cruel remark, but a conviction. He didn't say it to hurt me, he said it because he believed it. Like I was nothing more than an accident that kept lingering. I should have been used to it. He never offered praise, not once. Straight A's? Ignored. Career milestones? Dismissed. Buying my own house? Called me foolish. Still, I'd held on to a sliver of hope. If I just worked hard enough, maybe I could earn his respect. That hope shattered during that call. By sunrise, my pain had calcified into something else. Resolve. I dragged myself out of bed, brewed a bitter cup of black coffee, and sat back down. The screen glowed as I opened the folder. JSC Holdings, property number 12. Their house. The mortgage had been mine for years. I bought it when the bank was ready to foreclose. My mother had sobbed when she called me, begging for help. My father never reached out. His pride wouldn't allow it. I still stepped in. I created the illusion. The payments kept coming. They thought they were going to the bank, but it was all me. I covered most of it, month after month, year after year. I never asked for thanks, just basic decency. I reviewed the legal documents, calm and unshaken now. Years ago, my advisor Mark had added a purchase clause to the contract, an option to claim full ownership if they missed a payment. Back then, I thought it was just a safeguard, a just in case. Now, it felt prophetic. If they skipped even one payment, JSC Holdings could seize full control. They'd become tenants, month to month, and if they didn't pay rent, I could evict them. They had no idea how close they were to losing everything. I leaned back, letting it all sink in. He thought I was a mistake, a burden, a joke. But he had been living under my roof, depending on my money, every day, every breath of security, because of me. And for the first time, I wasn't angry. I was free. I had the power to take everything away from them. But the real question was, did they deserve it? As if on cue, my phone vibrated. "Mom, hey sweetheart, can you come over for dinner this Sunday? We'd love to see you." I stared at the message, a chill running down my spine. The last time she invited me for dinner, it was for one reason, money. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, but something deep inside urged me to play along. If my father could pretend to care, then I could pretend right back. So I typed, of course, looking forward to it. A lie, but it was necessary. Before closing my laptop, I had one final task. My uncle, my dad's older brother, had always been a supporter, the only one in the family who ever made me feel like I mattered. I quickly texted him. Hey Uncle Ray, I need to ask you something. Have you ever heard Dad say anything strange about me? Anything out of the ordinary? His reply came almost immediately. Uncle Ray, Jessica, we need to talk. I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but it's worse than you think. My heart skipped a beat. Worse? What had they been saying about me? The phone rang, and I answered on the first ring. Uncle Ray? He sighed. Jessica, I've kept quiet for too long, but after what I overheard last week, I can't stay silent anymore. I braced myself. What did they say? There was a long pause. They're not just talking about you behind your back, they've been plotting something. Your father, he's been snooping into your finances. He's convinced you've been hiding money from them. Last week, he told your mom that if you don't hand over more cash voluntarily, they'll find a way to make you give it up. My blood ran cold. Make me give it up? How? He said he might contact your employer, try to ruin your reputation, maybe even reach out to the IRS to audit you. A cold fury bubbled up inside me. They weren't just ungrateful. They weren't just cruel. They were willing to destroy me, for money. I took a slow, controlled breath, my fingers curling into tight fists. Uncle Ray, I need you to do something for me. Anything, sweetheart. I need proof. I didn't know exactly what my parents had planned, but one thing was certain, they underestimated me. And soon, they'd realize just how wrong they were. For the next 2 days, I prepared. If my father wanted to play dirty, I'd show him exactly how dangerous it was to underestimate me. First, I called Mark, my financial advisor. Jessica, he said warmly, I'm guessing this isn't just a friendly check-in? Not quite, I replied, tapping my pen against the desk. I need to know exactly how solid our agreement is on property number 12. If they miss a payment, how soon can I act? Mark didn't hesitate. Immediately. The purchase option clause allows JSC Holdings to assume full ownership the second they default. They'd have no grounds to fight it unless they can come up with $350,000 to buy you out. I smirked. They don't have it, they're done. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of control wash over me. Good, I said. One more thing, keep an eye on their account. I have a feeling they're already struggling, and I need confirmation that their next payment won't go through. Mark chuckled. That won't take long. Based on what I see, their balance is dangerously low. If they don't magically come up with $5,800 by the 15th, they're in deep trouble. I glanced at the calendar. That was in 4 days. In 4 days, my father, the man who had called me a failure, would wake up and realize that he had been living off my generosity all this time. And in 4 days, he would have to beg me for help. But I wasn't going to give it. On Sunday, I drove to my parents' house, pretending nothing had changed. Seeing their home, the home I owned, felt strangely distant, like I was stepping into a foreign world. This house used to be my sanctuary. Now, it was enemy territory. As I walked up the driveway, my mother swung the door open, smiling wide. Jessica, darling, come in. Her excitement was fake, and I saw through it now. I stepped inside, the smell of garlic and roasted chicken greeting me. At the head of the table, my father sat with his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. My mother flitted around him, setting dishes down like the perfect dinner would somehow make up for everything. My brother Liam lounged in his chair, a smug smirk plastered on his face. Unlike me, Liam had never had to earn Dad's approval. He was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, despite achieving nothing of note. I sat down, my face an impassive mask. Jessica, my father finally spoke, his voice thick with forced warmth. It's good to see you. I nodded. You too, Dad. There was an uncomfortable silence before my mother broke in, her voice syrupy sweet. We've been thinking a lot about family lately, she said, reaching for my hand across the table, and how important it is to support one another in tough times. I didn't react. That's true, my father added with a sigh. I set my fork down and tilted my head slightly. That's not a small ask. My father's mask cracked, his tone sharpened. It's nothing compared to everything we've done for you, he snapped. We raised you, gave you everything you needed. The least you can do is step up for your family. I met his glare, my expression unreadable as my blood turned cold. The least I could do. These were the same people who talked behind my back, the same father who once called me a failure while sleeping under my roof. I calmly took a sip of water, my expression controlled. I'll give it some thought. My mother exhaled, clearly relieved. Oh, sweetheart, thank you, we knew we could count on you. I smiled faintly, empty and calculated. They had no idea what was coming. In just 3 days, they'd lose everything. That night, my phone buzzed. It was Mark. They defaulted. His words sent a cold thrill through me. Wait, seriously? I asked, pretending to be surprised. They missed the payment, he confirmed. There weren't enough funds in the account. As of midnight, JSC Holdings now owns the property outright. I closed my eyes, slowly exhaling. It was official. My father, who'd spent years looking down on me, was now just a tenant. Should we begin the eviction process? Mark asked. Not yet. I wanted to watch it unravel. I wanted to see just how long it would take them to realize the truth. My eyes drifted to a dusty family photo on my desk, years old, back when I still thought my father was capable of love. Let them stew for a bit, I said quietly. Let's see how desperate they get. Because they would break. And this time, I wouldn't be the one to catch them. The silence that followed was louder than any shouting match. 3 days, no calls, no texts. Not a single guilt-laced message about how family comes first. Nothing. They still hadn't figured it out. They believed the payment went through, believed everything was fine, still living in a house they no longer owned. Then, on Friday at exactly 9:07 a.m., the email hit my inbox. Subject, urgent, default notification, property number 12, from JSC Holdings Legal Department. My heart thudded as I opened it, satisfaction curling through me. The notice was brief, formal, and absolute. Due to failure to submit the required mortgage payment by the 15th, the purchase option clause has been triggered. Effective immediately, JSC Holdings assumes full legal ownership of the property located at 2nd Street. The current occupants will be classified as month-to-month tenants. Non-compliance with rental terms may result in eviction. I sat back, fingertips resting lightly on my keyboard. This was it. I didn't need to say a word. They came to me. At 9:42 a.m., my phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. 9:47 a.m., another call. 9:50 a.m., Dad. I waited an hour. Then, finally, I picked up. Jessica, my mother's voice was panicked and breathless. There's been a mistake with the bank. We just got a notice saying we defaulted on the mortgage. That's not right. You have to help us. I leaned back, a slow smile tugging at my lips. It's not a mistake. Silence. What? I said, it's not a mistake. I repeated calmly, you didn't make the mortgage payment. The house isn't yours anymore. The silence stretched. Jessica, what are you talking about? My mom's voice trembled. Forcing a laugh like this was some kind of prank. This is our house. I shook my head. No, it was your house, but the second you missed that payment, JSC Holdings took full control. You're technically tenants now. The words sank in like stones in water. No, that's impossible. My father's voice cut through, panicked and disbelieving. The mortgage was through the bank. We've been paying it for years. I paused, then delivered the blow. You weren't paying the bank, Dad. You were paying me. Dead air. You're lying, he said, but I could hear the tremor in his voice. I sighed. No, I'm not. 6 years ago, when you were about to lose the house, I stepped in and bought the mortgage, quietly. You've been making payments to JSC Holdings ever since, my company. I paused for just long enough. I've owned the house this whole time. I heard my mom's breath catch. My father swore under his breath. Then Liam, clearly listening in, laughed. Wait, we've been paying rent to you this entire time, he scoffed. No wonder everything's a mess. You probably botched the paperwork, like you do with everything else. My jaw tightened. Liam hadn't changed. Arrogant. Ignorant. Useless. Well, since I'm so bad at everything, I said, voice like steel, this next part should be fun. Rent is due in 30 days, and if it isn't paid, I let the silence hang. You're out. Jessica, please, my mom tried. But my father cut her off. This is a bluff, he growled. You wouldn't do this to your own family. I smiled coldly. I let out a short chuckle. Wouldn't I? The years I spent covering for them flashed in my mind. The countless amounts of money I had poured into keeping them comfortable, while they spoke ill of me when I wasn't around. I remembered my father's voice on that phone call. She's a mistake that never should have happened. I thought about how they had planned to blackmail me, ruin my career, and steal from me unless I willingly gave them more money. My father had always thought I was weak. He was about to find out just how wrong he was. I've already spoken with my lawyer, I said, my voice steady. If you don't pay, you're out. And if you try anything, manipulation, threats, or even damage to the property, I will press charges. You ungrateful. I ended the call before he could finish his sentence. Within minutes, my phone lit up with notifications. Mom, Jessica, please, don't do this. We're family. Let's talk. Dad, you'll regret this. Mark my words. Liam, you think you're so clever? You're just a bitter, pathetic loser. We'll find a way to take the house back. Just wait. I read each message, then blocked their numbers. I had spent my entire life bending over backward for them. Now? I was done. I leaned back in my chair, gazing out the window, feeling the weight of everything settle in. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one holding them up. They were finally going to have to stand on their own 2 feet. And if they fell? That was their problem, not mine. The next few days passed in eerie silence. No calls. No texts. No pleas for mercy. I had half expected my mom to show up at my doorstep, crying and begging. I thought my dad would try to rage his way back into control, or my brother would find some loophole to save them. But none of that happened. Instead, they disappeared. I knew exactly why. They weren't accepting what had happened. They were scheming their next move. 3 days later, on Wednesday morning, the attempt came. I was at work when my phone lit up with an unknown number. I ignored it. A minute later, another call came through. Then, an email. Subject, urgent, mistaken foreclosure on property, from, law offices. I opened it with a sigh. Dear Ms. Carter. Your parents, Greg and Linda Carter, have contacted us about the recent foreclosure on their property. They believe there has been an error and are requesting to discuss reinstating ownership. Please get in touch at your earliest convenience to prevent further legal issues. Sincerely, John R. Hastings, Esquire. I smirked. Of course they hired a lawyer. I forwarded the email to Mark, my financial advisor. Less than 10 minutes later, he called me back, laughing. They don't have a case, Mark said. They signed the mortgage contract, the purchase option clause, everything. They can't fight this. You're in the clear legally. I sighed in relief, though I wasn't shocked. I figured. But they won't just quit, right? Mark chuckled. Not a chance. But they can't do anything about it. I thought of my father, his pride, his arrogance. How he'd rather burn everything down than admit he'd failed. They wouldn't stop. They'd keep coming, until they had nothing left to hold on to. Later that night, as I finished dinner, my phone rang. Uncle Ray. I picked up. Hey, Uncle Ray. I just got off the phone with your father, he said, no pleasantries. His voice was grim. You need to be careful. I frowned. What's going on now? He's not just planning to fight this in court, Ray continued. He's looking for other ways to make you back down. A cold shiver ran down my spine. What do you mean? He's calling your work. Trying to get you fired. My stomach dropped. Are you serious? He told me, word for word, that if you don't hand the house back, he'll ruin you in another way. He's talking about HR, making up complaints, accusing you of fraud, anything to get you out of the picture. I inhaled deeply, closing my eyes. Of course. If my father couldn't win legally, he'd try to destroy me personally. But he wasn't just targeting the house anymore. He was going after me. I wasn't going to wait for him to make the first move. The next morning, I walked into HR. Jessica, Lauren, my manager, greeted me with a smile. What's up? I need to talk to you about something serious. In private. She led me into her office and shut the door behind her. I just wanted to give you a heads up, I said. My father, he's trying to get me fired. Lauren's expression shifted. What? I explained everything, the mortgage, the default, the threats. After I finished, she let out a deep breath and shook her head. Jessica, let me make this clear, you're not going anywhere. A wave of relief washed over me. We deal with stuff like this all the time, Lauren continued. Family drama, personal grudges, false complaints. If your father calls, we'll document everything. He doesn't have the power to touch your job. She gave me a reassuring smile. I'll inform legal just in case. If he steps out of line, we'll hit him with a cease and desist. I exhaled deeply, tension I hadn't even realized I was carrying leaving my body. My father had lost his house, and now, he had lost his— I swung the door open, and there they were. My parents. My father stood rigid, his face flushed with anger. My mother's eyes were red and puffy from crying. Jessica, she whispered, her voice breaking, please. I crossed my arms, uninterested. What do you want? We need the house back, my father growled, his voice low and menacing. You have no right to do this to us. I tilted my head, unimpressed. I have every right, legally, financially, and morally. My mother clasped her hands together, pleading. We raised you, we gave you everything, what did we do to deserve this? I cut her off sharply. Is it for calling me a failure? For saying I was a mistake? For trying to destroy my life the moment I stopped handing you money? Her eyes flinched. My father clenched his jaw. You're being cruel. I let out a short, bitter laugh. No, Dad, I said, my voice even, I'm being fair. A heavy silence filled the air. Then, my father's expression darkened, and his lips twisted into a sneer. You'll regret this, Jessica. You think you're winning, but you're not. You'll never make it without us. And one day, you'll realize that. Something inside me snapped. The last tiny hope I had, thinking he might change, shattered in that instant. I locked eyes with him, standing my ground. Then we'll see, won't we? Without another word, I slammed the door in their faces. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely free. The moment the door closed, I knew I was done. Not just with their manipulation. Not just with their entitlement. With them. I stood there for a long time, hands gripping the doorknob, heart pounding in my chest. I had spent years trying to earn my father's respect, hoping that, one day, he'd see me as someone worthy of pride. But in that moment, as his empty threat echoed in my ears, I realized something that should have been obvious long ago. No matter what I did, it would never be enough for them. And I didn't need it to be. The next morning, I sent the final notice. Subject, Notice to Vacate, Property Number 12, from JSC Holdings Legal Department. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Carter. As previously informed, the mortgage agreement for the property located at 2nd Street has been terminated due to non-payment. As of today, your tenancy is officially terminated. You must vacate the premises within 30 days. Failure to comply will result in formal eviction proceedings. Please remove all personal belongings before the deadline to avoid legal complications. Sincerely, Jessica Carter, owner, JSC Holdings. I stared at the email for a long moment before hitting send. This was it. They were out of my life. The fallout didn't take long to begin. My mother called me 27 times that day. I ignored every call. My father left a single voicemail. You'll regret this, one day, you'll come crawling back. And when you do, we won't be here. I listened to it twice, then deleted it. Liam, my brother, tried one final desperate move. Liam, congrats, Jessica, you've ruined our family, hope you're happy. I didn't respond. They had spent years making me feel like the problem. Like I was never enough. Like I should be grateful to exist in their world. But now, they were the ones without a home. And I was finally free. 30 days passed. I didn't go to the house. Didn't check in. Didn't ask if they needed anything. I didn't need to. Mark took care of everything. He confirmed they had moved out the day before the deadline, probably to avoid the shame of being evicted. The house was mostly intact, though they had taken what they could and left the rest in piles of garbage. Typical. I drove by one last time, just to see it. The house was silent, empty. The place I had once cherished, The place I had grown up in was now mine alone. But as I stood in the doorway, staring at the vacant rooms, I felt nothing. No sadness. No guilt. No nostalgia. Just relief. I pulled out my phone and dialed Uncle Ray. "They're gone," I said, flatly. He exhaled. "How do you feel?" I paused for a moment. Then I smiled. "Lighter." I sold the house 2 weeks later. The market was strong, and within days, it was out of my hands. The profits? I used them to start a fund for young women escaping financially abusive families. Women who, like me, had been taught they owed everything to their families, just for being born. Because I understood the feeling of being trapped. I knew what it was like to believe love had to be earned. But through all of this, I had learned something important. Real family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by who truly stands by you. And my real family? It wasn't them. It was me. 3 months later, I got a message in my inbox. It was from my mother. "Mom, Jessica, please. Please, I don't know where else to go, can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time. A few months ago, I would have agonized over this. I would have wondered if I was being too harsh. If I was making the wrong choice. But now, I simply deleted the message. Because some bridges are meant to be burned. And I wasn't looking back. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.